Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, assalamu alaikum, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to MACFEST 2024. We are sitting in England, in France, in Albania. So it's really an international event. Tell us in the chat where you're sitting in the world. My name is Katarzyna. I am a member of the MACFEST team. Today, we've got a really amazing event for you. It's part of the Ramadan MACFEST festival, Albanian Delights, with two delightful ladies and a musician, bringing us closer to the Albanian Ramadan traditions. So our first host is Arjola Buzi. She's a marketing and communication expert and that has previously worked as a TV journalist covering topics like tourism, art and culture. Arjola has also been known through her lifestyle blog, where she'd continuously share parts of Albania. And then we've got Luljeta Halimi, TV host and producer, and also a part of our MACFEST team. Her proficiency in effective communication has been cultivated through a diverse array of roles and experiences. These include serving as a media journalist, HR specialist, and communication manager of a travel agency. Moreover, she has served as a speaker at numerous educational events and has garnered experience as a TV host. They will introduce our chief guest, Dr. David Walker, the Bishop of Manchester. And just before we start our event, on behalf of MACFEST, I'd like to thank you all for your donations that help us very much create all these wonderful events for you. Most of them are free. Subscribe to our newsletter and follow MACFEST and Muslim Women's Arts Festival and Foundation on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So please use our hashtag spread honey, not hate. And today, keep in touch, share your comments, share your thoughts, all your questions, either in the chat or in the Q&A portal. And of course, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem to all of you who are celebrating today. Okay, over to you, Lulu.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in MACFEST. It's my pleasure to be your host today, and also it's my pleasure to introduce the way how we celebrate Ramadan in Albania. I am Lulu. I'm Luljeta, you guys can call me Lulu, and I'm originally from Albania. I'm a TV producer and TV host. I have a background of 10 years in media and journalism. Recently, I have graduated in HR, and I'm more than happy to be the host for today. And thank you everyone who has joined us. I'm sure that in advance, there will be also other people who's going to join to learn more about the way how we celebrate Albania, Ramadan in Albania. I'm more than delighted to introduce that we have our guests in our panel. Thank you so much for joining us today, David Walker, who is the Bishop of Manchester. It is our pleasure to have you today, and I can't wait for you when you're gonna have your speech related with Ramadan, Albania, and also the way how you as well are part of the celebrations that we as Muslims have in Ramadan. And also, I'm delighted to present my co-host for the day. It's Arjola. She's also from Albania, and she's going to tell us more related with the festivals, events, food, culture, and everything that Albanian people do in Ramadan. Also, I want to thank David, he's an artist. He's also going to join us in the end of our event to perform a traditional music that we have in Albania. I can't wait for him to perform. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because I'm sure that you guys gonna enjoy that. And in the end, whoever has questions and whatever you guys wants to know, we are more than open to basically respond to your questions. Okay, so as you see on the screen, Albania Islam and Ramadan tradition is our event for the day. We will celebrate the culture and the faith. I would like to go to the second slide. When you guys can see a short video. It's a mosque located in Durrës. Durrës is a small city in Albania, and this mosque is famous about the minars that they have. Usually the mosques have one minar, but this mosque has four, because there are four brothers who built this mosque. That's why each of them has dedicated one minar. And I'm very, very honored to, I would love to invite all of you guys to visit this mosque in Albania. It's a must. You should not basically lose it. And as I said, to talk more about the history, culture, and everything else related with Albania and Ramadan, we have Arjola. She's a lifestyle journalist and marketing expert. Arjola, welcome. And I will let the word to you.
Thank you, Lulia, for your introduction. Thank you to everyone who is with us today and for taking an interest in Albania. We can say that there is a lot of interesting background connected to the religious landscape in Albania, and we will try to summarize that in the presentation that we have prepared for you today. We will mention on how a population that was originally pagan became Christian and then most converted to Islam, and that ended up in being the first atheist country in the world. And we will introduce how that has affected the generation of now, that would be us, and how religion itself is trying to build up in Albania, and what Ramadan celebration look like at the moment in Albania. I will give the word back to Luljeta with the presentation. She will be the one to introduce you more about the religion side of the presentation, and I'll try to stop more on what cultural interests are taken in this period.
Thank you, Arjola, for introducing yourself. As I mentioned before, Albania is a very beautiful country, and I would like to share this video with all of you guys. If Arjola can help me with the video. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing the video with us, Arjola. It's not because it's my country, but for real, Albania is a mix of everything. If you want to enjoy the mountains, you can go to the mountains. If you want to enjoy the beach, you can go to the beach. The food is amazing, and the food served in the cities close to the beach is completely different from the traditional food, which is served in the mountains, which usually are located in north. And because Albania is also a country located in the middle, or I would say in the heart of Balkans, there is so much diversity when it comes to the culture, food, the way how people enjoy the life, the lifestyle, and of course, when it comes to the religion and the way how they celebrate Ramadan. If you guys see in the screen, there is a table of contents for everyone who has joined us. We will introduce in this event different things when it comes to our country, which is the culture, the religious landscape, how we celebrate Islam in Albania, our Muslim identity, and also other faiths. When it comes to the Ramadan traditions, to suhoor and iftar, the way how we celebrate suhoor and iftar is amazing, because we give light to the nights. The night Tarawih prayers. Without the Tarawih prayers, there is no Ramadan in Albania. You can't feel it if you don't go and pray in the mosque, and also the different celebrations within the community. And it's not only about Muslims, but also for other faith people, like Christians and other faith. Even atheists, they celebrate Ramadan in Albania. In the end, we will have also our artist who's gonna end up our event with a traditional music. I introduced him as well before. And for everyone who has question and answer, please make a note. We are more than welcome. You are going to be more than welcome to ask them in the end. If I would like to go to the next slide, and would like to give my word to Arjola. Arjola?
As Luljeta mentioned, there is a lot to know about Albania. It has amazing sites. It has the food, of course, it is really good. But there are a lot of interesting facts related to the country as well. We might mention historical facts. We might mention details about this population that might also seem some kind of mysterious to some. So in the beginning of this presentation, I'd like to go over some facts that are related to Albanians. I have hand selected those that are, like, let's say, worldly known, but I will summarize most of them to you. So I'd like to start with the fact that Albania is not actually called Albania to Albanians. It's called Shqipëri, which means land of the eagles. And this is why you can see that the symbol of the eagle is often realized to Albania, or this some symbol that we usually do with our hands, because in Albanian, Shqipëri means land of the eagles. So when it comes to the population of Albania itself, the language varies. From north to south, there is a highlighted difference in the language. So if you take two Albanians from different cities from north to south, or we can also mention Kosovo in here, some Albanians from Kosovo, or and others that could be from Saranda, that are the cities that are closer to Greece, and more often than not, they will have real difficulties in understanding each other. Also, I'd want to mention that the fact that you hear of a lot of Albanians in a lot of countries, you might have heard of Albanians living in the UK for sure, but also for our followers that are now listening from the United States or other countries in Europe, I'd like to say that the immigration has been rooted in Albania a long time ago, and there are a lot more Albanians outside of the country than there are within Albania. That is also connected to the geographical position to Albania, to the fact that it has being part of wars most of the times, but we will touch those topics in the following slides. Here is the collection that I have presented for you. I have tried to pick small little images, and I want to quickly go among all of them. The fact that the Albanian flag is also an eagle, it is a red and black flag that we can say it is the most beautiful one in the world, but we're Albanians, we're allowed to say that one. I also want to mention that Albanian language, has a totally different branch on the languages tree, that is on the Indo-European languages tree. That is to say that the Albanian language is not connected to any other language. So we don't have another country that has a language that is similar to ours. We mentioned the fact that we are called Shqipëri to ourselves, the dialects, that those vary within Albania. And another very important fact that we will see us mentioning a lot today is religious harmony. We can proudly say that we are of the countries where religions coexist in total harmony. We not only do respect our neighbors, do understand each other's religions, but we also show kindness and respect to each other's traditions, and that also happens during Ramadan times, that also happens during Easter times. So, for example, right now the whole Albania is celebrating Ramadan, and then the whole Albania will celebrate Easter, and we do celebrate each other's traditions. And as a matter of fact, our national hero is Skanderbeg, of whom we are proud of the wars that he also made to, let's say, save Christianity in Albania, and that's another complex chapter. One of the facts that I want to mention about Albanians is that we do appreciate family and moral values a lot. But family, for most, even like second cousins, third cousins, blood, we do make a lot about it. But that is also to say that even our relatives or close people, we're close to them. And that is the fact that the artist that is going to perform for us today is a very famous one, but he's like a brother to me, and he didn't hesitate for a moment to join this presentation today. And then we might stop at the darker era of Albania. That would be the 50 years of communism that has impacted a lot our country. After our independence in 1912, shortly after, communism era came in Albania. That is to be not only the communism system, but also a harsh dictatorship that was led by Enver Hoxha, the man that you can see in the picture. And everything changed, not only culturally and politically, but it changed also in religious terms, because very soon Albania was to become the first atheist country in the world. And that is to mention that most of the churches and mosques were demolished, and religion was totally prohibited. And if anyone were to get caught practicing religion in Albania, they'd immediately get interned and get in jail and get in trouble. But having said that, we also have to mention that most Albanian families did still practice religion, but did so hidingly. So people would still fast during the Ramadan times, would still teach their kids of religion, but they would do so by risking their own lives and by hiding from the regime. We will stop to that part also a little bit later. So let's turn over to the other facts that are related to the Albania. The next picture that you can see that are those mushrooms-like structures that are the bunkers that were built during the dictatorship time, because Enver Hoxha was fixated with the fact that another war might come over. He was always preparing the country with, about like an enemy, an inexisting enemy that might come over. So these bunkers, there are over 70,000 of those in Albania, but we can see that those have been transformed recently, and they are being used for even art purposes, or being referred to as like small museums. And people are reproposing those bunkers that used to be everywhere in Albania, because the inexisting enemy might come at any times. And we also mentioned the fact that was related to religion. I'd like to stop on that sheep that you might see in the picture that is related to Albanian immigrants. So the massive flood of immigrants that took place in the 90s in Albania after the dictatorship regimen was over, you can see at that period, it is said that like over millions of Albanians would just find the first ship they would get and jump it over, leave everything behind, and start over for a new life. And that came after a period of harshness, after a period of Albanians being poor and even lacking basic resources for a long time. So whenever you see an Albanian immigrant, maybe there is like a complex history behind them. I'm sure that anyone you see would be more than willing to explain like what their story is, but this is the path that it usually goes across. So the next picture is to symbolize Albanian hospitality. Other than it being a tradition and a culture for Albanians, welcoming their neighbor and having the code of Besa, that is the code of honor, of like staying true to your word. After the dictatorship ended, also Albanians were like very curious to get to know people from other countries. So even today, when tourists do come over, most Albanian families are very happy to welcome them and to know more about their traditions, because everything that was related to the outside world, it was totally forbidden in Albania during the dictatorship. If you can see in the third row, the first image on the left, there is a small piece of our tradition and our folklore. Those are some Albanian traditional outfits from south of Albania, and the men are performing a traditional folk dance that are usually held during weddings and celebrations. Something that I also want to stop shortly on is the fact that coffee is a whole other tradition in Albania. That being said, a lot of Albanians do stop their days to consume a coffee for even 2 to 3 hours and chat with each other and meet up with their family. And this is why it is in this short summary. As Luljeta mentioned, Albania is a very beautiful country, and it features a lot of cities that are protected from UNESCO. The one that you can see in the picture is the city where I was grown up in. It is Berat, and it is a 2,400-year-old city. And like Berat, there are many other cities in Albania that are left to discover. And you all know about Mother Teresa. We're very proud to say that Mother Teresa was Albanian. And we're very proud that she also symbolized the religious peaceness, like the kindness all over the world. Also, Albania has a lot of nice beaches that do resemble places like Maldives or Greece and Italy that are pretty close to it. And the last fact is to mention that we're proud that a lot of the immigrants that we mentioned earlier are not now people that do represent Albania all over the world, not only pop stars, as you might know, Dua Lipa, Rita Ora, and a few others, but also people that are now integrated in the countries where they do live as intellectuals and doctors and all of those kind of profiles. I'd like also to stop a little bit at Albania-related details as geography. In Albania, you can pretty much find very close to each other. Within 1 hour, you can go to the mountain, you can go to the sea, you can go to amazing fields or to these historical sites. So it is small, but its geography varies that much that you can find whatever you wish for in a very short time. The capital of Albania is Tirana. At the moment, Tirana is a bustling hub of history, art, and modernity. It is a very urban city, but you can easily get access to also the traditional culture. So it is a very colorful one, and it has a lot of youth, because it is also a city that has a lot of universities. It is said for Albanian population to be around 3 million, but as I mentioned, most of Albanians are located outside of its borders, and unluckily that keeps happening. Albanians have this mentality of this desire to go and explore new lands and find better opportunities. As an historical background, we mentioned a couple of the facts in the summary that we did earlier, but I'd also like to stop a little bit on Albania's past. It was called Illyria, and it is said to date at the same time that ancient Greece and ancient Rome was happening at that time. Most Albanians were paganists, of course. And Albania did go under a lot of wars starting from that period. And what is to mention is that the war that lasted for far more time is the one with the Ottoman Empire. Albania was in this relationship for over 500 years. And we can say that one of the good things that the Ottoman Empire did, other than influencing the culture, and of course we also had to land over a lot of their traditions, was Islam. This is also the period where Albania was introduced to Islam. Albania's independence was in 1912, but unluckily in that period, for Albania to gain the independence, a lot of its cities were taken and given to our neighbors. This is why Kosovo used to be under Serbia. This is why a lot of Albanians are now located in North Macedonia, in Montenegro, and even in Greece. So to gain its independence, Albania had to land over land from each of its borders. This is why it has remained like a way smaller country at the moment. The communist era that came after the independence was a tragic event for all Albania, as its borders were closed for 50 years, and Albania was secluded, and everyone would live like in a fairy tale that was only related to the socialist mentality, and it was totally isolated from the rest of the world, nor could Albanians visit other countries or people from other countries visit Albania if they didn't have like diplomatic access. But after the communist era, when the democracy came, other than the immigration, the country started to gather itself and have more Western influence. We can say that Albania is still in transition, and a lot of mistakes were made from the communism to the democracy era, from that type of transition. But we can see that the future seems bright, and a lot of its political state and its social state is improving. When it comes to Albanian culture, I've picked three elements that I'd say are representative, because it is a very rich tapestry of cultures. But when it comes to ethnography, Albania has different traditional outfits, dances, and customs that vary from north to south. We have traditional outfits like çeleşe. You might have seen it. It is some type of white hat that Albanian men wear. Fustanela, as you saw in the picture previously, jubleta, etc. Albania also features some unique dancing styles which get practiced in weddings and celebrations. Albania does have its unique style also when it comes to crafts, as we do feature a lot of local artisans, but we would like to welcome you to explore those by your own. Another part I'd love to stop on is Albanian myths, fairy tales, and legends. Robert Elsie is an English professor that has been studying this side of Albania for many years to discover the fact that Albanian myths have been featured since from Illyrian times, and there are so many fairy tales in Albania that I can say that are still to be discovered, and maybe why not recomposed in new books, movies, and those might also be influencing what makes Albania a little bit of a mysterious country. I'd like to give the word to Luljeta, because I know that if there is someone that can explain the religious landscape in Albania, that would definitely be her. Luljeta, the land is yours.
Thank you so much, Arjola. It was an amazing introduction when it comes to history, culture of Albania. I know that us as Albanians, we would never stop talking. While you were speaking, I wanted to add so many things. It's like you feel passionate when it comes to your country, but when it comes to the religious landscape in Albania, definitely we are a country of unity in faith and harmony in diversity. Usually when I introduce myself as Albanian when it comes to friends or at the environment when I work, no one believes, like, it's not that they don't believe me, but they are surprised to know that I'm Albanian and I'm with hijab, because usually people don't expect that girls in Albania would put the hijab on. Because of the history and everything else that Arjola explained before, the dictator of Enver Hoxha's time and everything else that we have going through as a community there. But yes, lately, especially in the last 10 years, there is a huge and fascinating change that happened in Albania. There are more, the number of Muslims is growing more and more, and it's not only as a religion, but they are also practicing. This is what I always explain to people. You will find Muslims in Albania that they just introduce themselves as Muslims, but they don't practice. So when I say practice, I mean they may not fast, they may not pray 5 times, they may not go to Mecca, they may not practice all the religion stuff that Islam as a religion introduced to Muslims, but they will believe in God. They will do some traditional stuff that their parents, their grandfathers, grandmothers basically teach them. Approximately nowadays, there is 60% of population that identifies as Muslims, with both Sunni and Bektashi, because both of them are part of the Muslims. And if you see in the statistics, the majority of the graphic is Muslims, Sunni Muslims with 57%, and then there is Bektashi Muslims, which is 2%. And then we have the next Catholic, which is 10% of the society, and then Orthodox, which is 70% of society, and also the unknown one, which is atheist, and also other believers, that includes 24% of the whole society. If we can go to the next slide, we can see, as I mentioned in the beginning of our introduction, Albania is located in the heart of Balkans, which has caused I can say a diversity when it comes to not only culture but also religion. If you see the part with the red, which is in north, is more the society there is more they belong to the Catholic community, and in south, which is with blue, and also you can find some also in the middle of Albania, is the Orthodox community, and the whole part, the other part, is the Muslim community, which is the majority of them. There are also two phenomena observed to Albanian religious map, and there are, in general, there are Muslims, Catholic, and Orthodox, which are the three main religions. If we go to the next slide, we can see that part of our unity and diversity are the mosques and the churches, which are very old. The first picture is our main mosque, which is called Ethembeu Mosque. I can say that within all other mosques in Albania, it is the only mosque that Enver Hoxha, our dictator, didn't destroy. He considered this mosque, and he didn't destroy it, to introduce to the new generation who will come the culture of the Muslim, or I would say Albanian Ottoman communities, because this mosque was built by them. And everyone who visits Albania, this is a must that you should go and visit and see that inside there is a fascinating calligraphy, and you will find the names of Allah and the way how they have painted. It's amazing. They have always mixed within this mosque the beauty of culture as Albanian country and also Muslim religious. So you will find both of them in the mosque. And there is a small part that everyone who is a girl or a woman can pray and can perform as well the prayers. In the second picture, in the right, is it's a church, a small church located in north of Albania. As I mentioned in the beginning, the north of Albania, it's more included with the Catholic community, and that is a very, very small church, but in Puka, in Theth, which is an amazing city to visit as well. And the one down, the first mosque in the right, second row, is the mosque with 4 minars that I mentioned. 4 brothers built this mosque. It's an amazing and a beautiful mosque. Usually in Ramadan, you will find lots of events organized there, so people can perform salah, can enjoy the beauty of the mosque, and can also enjoy the food and have iftar with each other. And also next to it is a small building, I mean in the picture where the mosque is, when professors, scholars, they teach students lessons when it comes to Arabic lessons, religious lessons, Muslims, how they have been growing within the year. The next picture is another church, which is located in a very, very, very old city, as Arjola mentioned, Berat. It's a city located in a mountain, which is fascinated because you can see the whole city. If you're from every house, you can see a beautiful view just because of the location that that city has, and which is a church, beautiful church, very old and historical as well. And in the last picture, there is another mosque, which is the biggest mosque in Albania. It is built, it's a new mosque. It is built before 3 years. And it is called the Mosque of Namazja. It's a must. It's located in Tirana, the capital city. It's close to the first mosque, which is the oldest mosque in Albania, and it's a must to visit. As you see there in the architecture of this mosque, there is a similarity of Ottoman historical empire, that because the builders, the architecture is from Turkey. If we go to other slide,
Luljeta, if you'd let me also add to this phase the fact that even though most of the religious sites were demolished, most of them were rebuilt after the democracy, or the other part of them was repurposed during communism time. Let's say that these churches and mosques would now serve as like offices, or they were totally used from the regiment for other purposes, but they were rebuilt and they came to their identity after the 90s. And I also would like to mention that we only have selected like 5 mosques and churches that represent like different styles, but there are like so many religious sites in Albania. And even only on Berat, you'd find like more than 20 churches on that area. And this is the oldest one of them. So there are many religious sites that we are proud to say came to identity after the democracy.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for adding that, Arjola. Before going to the historical roots that Arjola will explain to us, I mentioned in the beginning that we have a very, very special guest joining us today. We are more than delighted that he's joining us in this holy month of Ramadan to celebrate Muslim religion, Ramadan, and to celebrate with us as Albanians. We are more than delighted to welcome Dr. David Walker, who has been a Bishop of Manchester since 2013. Prior to that, he was a Bishop of Dudley in the West Midlands for 13 years. Born and brought up in Greater Manchester, he attended Manchester Grammar School before winning a scholarship to King's College, Cambridge, which is a beautiful and amazing university, as a mathematician. David chairs and convenes the Greater Manchester Faith and Community Leaders Group. He's also co-chair of the National Police Ethics Committee for England and Wales, and an active member of the House of Lords. He is married to Sue, which we say hello. I'm sure she's gonna see this event later, or maybe she's joined us. And they have 2 adult children and 2 small grandsons. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. David, today. I would love to hear your insights and also what you think about Albania. I'm sure you want to visit Albania now.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to see so much about this country, which when I was a child, we only ever really heard of in Britain as being this atheist state, this state where there'd been a real determination by the regime to destroy religion in all its forms. And so I'm deeply, deeply impressed in the way that after those years of oppression, religious faith has blossomed again in Albania, because it could so easily have been wiped out entirely. But I suppose it just shows that the power of God can never be. There's no greater power than the power of God in this world. But it's fascinating to see how some old sites, like the mosque and the church there, survived even through those very difficult times. But also new places of worship have been built since. It's my pleasure. As you said, I chair the Greater Manchester Faith and Community Leaders Group, which represents the different faith communities, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Jewish, Jain, Buddhist, range of different faiths that are present here in the Greater Manchester area, because we are a very diverse city, one of the most diverse cities in Europe, and that diversity is our strength.
Yeah,
It has been for many centuries. It's because people have come here, they've traveled here, they've made their home among us, some of them fleeing persecution in their homelands over centuries, and they've come here and they've received a welcome, and they brought with them their arts and their crafts and their culture and their songs and their dances, and that has enriched us hugely as a city. I think that is our strength, that we are so diverse, and we get on well together. We know that we're stronger for being diverse, and I think it's the very antithesis of what happened in Albania during the communist period, when it was an attempt to create a single culture, suppress anything that was different. I think what I've learned and believe in deeply over the years is that we need each other's diversity. We need difference. Somebody once said to me many years ago that diversity makes the job easier and the results better. And that's something that I've continued to try to live by ever since, that diversity isn't a problem. It can bring problems with it, but it's not a problem. It's something that makes life richer and more profound. And it's been my pleasure as well, over much of my adult life, to live in cities that have had that diversity of culture. And I've learned a great deal from the different faiths that I've lived among. So from my Jewish friends, I've learned an awful lot about thinking about the importance of food in religion, and about hospitality, and about the keeping of Sabbath, about what it is to set special days aside and not treat them just like any other working day. From the Muslim community, I've learned pretty about fasting, and pretty that's at the heart of Ramadan, that actually the way that we manage food and drink, the way that we sometimes deliberately abstain from them, not to punish our bodies, and not as some kind of exercise in improving our own strength, or how clever or determined we can be, but we do it for God. And what I find when I fast is that it brings me closer to God. When I feel my tummy rumbling, and that's an occasion for me to say a prayer. If I feel thirsty, it's an occasion to say another prayer. So to use actually all our senses, all our feelings of our bodies, as a way of drawing closer to God. And I think the fasting tradition and the feasting traditions around food and drink and abstinence from them, are really quite important in that regard. They're not just physical things, they really are spiritual things. And I learned that very much from living and being alongside Muslim communities here in Manchester, and before, when I was in the West Midlands, and even before that. And I think really what I want to do is encourage people to enjoy the diversity. The culture of Albania will be unique to Albania. It's made up, as we saw in one of the earlier slides. You've got the north is quite different from the south, so different that people can hardly understand each other when they're speaking. I think you said that's probably not quite the case in England, although I've got very much a Manchester accent, a northern accent, and quite different way of speaking than perhaps people from very other parts of the country. But that in itself shows the diversity. And you've got obviously people who live in mountains, often quite different from those who live close to the shore, close to the seaside. So it's just my huge pleasure to be with you and to be part of celebrating the diversity of communities, of nations, diversity of faith, that makes us a lot stronger than we would otherwise be.
Definitely, Professor. It's our pleasure to have you today. And you mentioned everything when it comes to diversity. Albania, it's a small country, and you can find so much diversity in it. And it's amazing that people understand each other, and they live in harmony with each other. So they love the differences that each of them have. And when you mentioned UK, one of the things that I've learned in London, being here 2 years now, is the fascinating diversity that people have, and how respectful they are towards each other's beliefs, cultures, traditions, and how happy they are to try what the other culture bring on the table, our traditions, the other people's tradition when it comes to the food, clothes, the beliefs, and everything else. And I would mention also something, also Arjola mentioned it. It's fascinating that our parents, when they were explaining the history in the Enver Hoxha's area, where like in communism, they were saying that they were fasting, and when someone, the police or whoever was in control, was going to them to basically force them, drink some water, have some food, so I see that you are not fasting. And my grandfather, he was explaining to me that the priests, they were helping Muslims. They were helping each other not to bring to the corner, and they were informing each other that he is coming, go to another room, or they were basically trying to help each other in different ways, just as a respect of the other faith, because they knew that this for Muslim Ramadan was something very special. And also when it comes to prayers, they were helping each other, come and pray in my room, so no one will basically know that someone is praying in the priest room. So this is a beautiful and fascinating respect that we have shown to each other when it comes to the belief and the unity that we have in Albania.
Indeed. And I found similar things in this country. When I was a young student, I was attached to a church in Birmingham, and there was a small local Muslim group who had no mosque, and we let them use one of the rooms in our church to teach the boys their Quran classes after they'd come home from the ordinary school. And other places I've been to since, similar kinds of things, that we can share that hospitality to each other, because we know at the end religious faith is the thing that's more important that we have it than perhaps in the particular religion. And part of my role as a parliamentarian in the House of Lords, the upper chamber of the UK Parliament, is to be there not simply to represent the Christian faith, but to be there to represent the importance of faith in public life. That faith is not just what we do in private, but it should be what we were also able to do in public. And it's lovely that in Albania, for a long time, faith had to be practiced entirely in private, in secret. And some brave people handed on the faith to their children and grandchildren. But it's important where we can to recognise that faith has an important role to play in public life. And I'm just back from Malaysia. I was in Malaysia last week in Sarawak, the city of Kuching. Malaysia is a country where Christians and Muslims live together, and we met people from both communities there. And it was lovely to see how their faith is respected in public life.
Definitely. And if everyone is happy to practice their religion, we will have a happy society. We will have more beautiful things, more creative people. And it's all about the unity. If people learn how to respect each other's beliefs, culture, tradition, then we have a happy society, which is something that everyone wants. Thank you so much, Professor David, for joining us and for sharing with us all your insight. I'll give my word to Arjola to just end up when it comes to the roots and Islam in Albania. I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, historical roots.
Yes, what I'd like to mention on this part is that, as I mentioned, the Ottoman Empire mainly influenced the fact that Albanians did become Muslims. But what is also interesting to mention is the fact that other than the Sunni Muslims that we know are 57% of Albanians, we also have the Bektashi Muslims. That is another side that has, let's say, its main quarters in Albania. And what happens at those times is that because a lot of Albanian Christian princes had to convert to Islam, they couldn't immediately adapt to the Islam traditions. So somehow a religion was found in the middle, and that was Bektashi. That is, we can say, something in between Islam and Christianity, where people do practice Islamic traditions, but they also are not covered. They consume alcohol, and they can have their own icons. So that is also something interesting to mention about the Islamic path in Albania. As I mentioned, it is a complex one, and I want to be fair on that point, not being able to totally analyze, but the Bektashi ones are also something interesting to mention. This is where I'd want to give the word to Luljeta, because I'd want us to speak a little bit more about what Albanian Muslims do look like today, what it is that they do in terms of practicing and in terms of concepts. How do they see Islam?
Yeah, definitely, Arjola. So in Ramadan, even if you are if you belong to another faith, even if you don't practice Islam, even if you just heard some stuff about the religion, everyone wants to go to the mosque. So we have a diversity when it comes to faith, but also the modern is included with the tradition one. We have the culture influence as well, and we have the interfaith connection between each other. I would like to go to the next slide, Arjola, if you can just, yeah. So Ramadan is exactly the part that everyone comes together. Friends, they celebrate with each other. People from government, they have these beautiful events when it comes to organizing from maybe someone who is like the prime minister. They organize events in a different mosque or in a different restaurants, just to build the community and to bring them all together to celebrate Ramadan. And if you see also the restaurants, different restaurants, even why they maybe don't serve halal food, or maybe they don't have a special menu for Ramadan, they will bring on the table the specific menus only for Ramadan, so they can give the opportunity to people who want to celebrate and who wants to have iftar with each other. They will give this opportunity to them, so they can have a nice dinner close to the mosque that they pray, close to the house that they live, so they don't need to travel to go to the specific restaurant who always serves traditional food. And also here in London, I'm sure that everyone who lives in the UK have seen the Ramadan lights, which is the third year or the second year this time. We as well have the Ramadan lights in Albania. Lately, it started last year. If you see the picture in the second row that Arjola made it, you will see that there are some posters from the government. They decorated one of the main road in Albania to give the positive vibe, because of course everyone loves the beauty, and when they see the posters, the Ramadan lights, they will feel and they will get a better and the positive vibes.
As I mentioned, it is Ramadan, it is Nowruz, and sometime after soon there it will appear Easter. So like we are celebrating all of these religious holidays, and it only adds up to the happiness of the people. It only adds up to the kindness we spend among each other.
Exactly. And we need to mention that the food brings everyone together. Everyone loves food. Everyone wants to try the different way, how the different traditions, different culture that we have. So our traditional food, every time that someone asks me, is burek. In UK, there are some restaurants for everyone who wants to try the traditional Albanian food. There are some traditional restaurants, and what they do is they have this homemade burek, is a kind of pastry, and they will do it with onions, spinach, and cheese. So these are the three main fillers that the burek, it's cooked from Albanian mothers and grandmothers. I can say that the burek that we have is similar to the Turkish burek, but it's not exactly like that. And a similar pastry is fli. It's FLI, and everyone who goes Albania needs to try fli. There is no fillers between the fli. It's cooked only with flour and butter. It looks like a simple dish, but it takes more than 3 hours to cook it, and it has to be baked in the nature to be traditionally cooked, to say that it's traditionally cooked within the fire, in a mountain, or in a field. You need to cook and bake every pastry one by one and make them all together with butter. So whoever goes Albania, you guys need to try fli. We have also petula. We have fried dough with sweet or savory fillings such as jam, cream, sauces, and cheese. In Albania, there are some restaurants who will serve for iftar the traditional food, but whoever wants to have a different iftar, they can also go to the modern restaurants to try the food that they like it. And if in the table is anyone who drinks alcohol, or whoever is not a Muslim, but they are there to celebrate the faith and Ramadan, they don't drink alcohol because they respect the other faith. We have lodra. Lodra is a kind of instrument. If you can see it, it's also in the picture when the boy is holding it. It's called lodra and makes this noise like boom, boom, boom. And lodra is used to let people know that the time of iftar came. First, so whoever wants to know that the iftar came, especially the people that are not practicing Islam, but they just want to know when can I break my iftar, they will hear a sound going in different neighborhoods that will make the noise boom boom, so people will know that now it's time to break our fast. And also lodra is used to celebrate Eid. So on the day of Eid, someone, it may be a child, it may be someone else, will bring the lodra to know that to celebrate Eid, and people will give them money. This is a kind of tradition. Whoever brings the lodra, they will give them the money. When it comes to Taraweeh prayer, we also mentioned the fact that everyone comes together. There is no Ramadan in Albania if there are no Taraweeh prayers. Even people who don't know how to pray, they will go to the mosque and pray Taraweeh. I remember Arjola and my friend, we were all joining us together. After we eat iftar, we go in the mosque, we pray Taraweeh together. And after Taraweeh, we have the traditional thing that we always mention is the coffee time, that we can have some delights as well, like sweets, and celebrate and speak about the Ramadan, and speak all about everything that we want to share with each other. If you go to other next slide, the things that will define Ramadan is iftar dinners that I also mentioned. And there are also two other things that we want to mention is the charity. Everyone who fasts, they, in Albania especially, it's kind of tradition, they will feel in need, if I can use this word, to give charity. They can give charity to someone who is part of their family and it's not in a good condition. They can give charity to their neighbors. They can give charity to whoever they know that needs some money or needs some help from community. What people do in Albania, they ask each other, let's say, I want to contribute and I want to give iftar to a family. What should I do? They go in a supermarket, they buy them food, and they send the food to the family so they can cook the food themselves. Or what they do is they bring
As Luljeta was mentioning, it is a tradition in Albania for iftar dinners to be shared among each other. So even Christians, they might all hold iftar dinners. Even governments, they do this type of celebrations just in sake of celebrating with each other. And as we mentioned, charity is also a big part of it. I'd like to turn a little bit to the Eid in Albania, because that is a very special day and we have our own way of celebrating it, which I think might be similar, but we want to introduce what is special about Eid in Albania. The fact that everyone, I show you now this video that is from the morning prayer in Albania. So this is the main square in Tirana city. It is a very big one and we have like a huge boulevard. The prayer even goes on to the boulevard. On the morning of Eid, everyone is gathering there. Everyone who has fasted or not, practicant Muslims or not, and sometimes even our Christian or neighbors or people from other religion would join this gathering just in sign of respect for this big day for Albanians. I'll let you see the video.
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن
People from all over gather, and after they are done with the morning prayer, they start the family celebrations. As I mentioned, family is really important. So Eid is a day to spend with your family and go to your cousins and visit them. And then we hold the celebration within the families, and that would mean having a really nice cuisine going on, the best of it. Our moms start preparing even from the previous day and put everything together in a nicely decorated table, but this is not the end of it. On Eid, people try to buy new clothes, wear their best clothes, and also exchange gifts among each other. That is also a part of what makes Eid a special event in Albania. And when it comes to challenges and resilience, I'm glad that we mentioned the challenges that Albanians have had to face during all this time, and the challenges that we as a new tradition, as a new generation, do face, even when it comes to like explaining religion to also our parents, even when it comes to explaining religion to the other young people that do not believe. It is a challenge on itself, but we did mention that things are trying to change and everyone is trying to find their way towards God. I'd like to invite now our friend Ervis. I don't know if we have him yet, but at the meantime, let's please share with our hosts how did they find this presentation and what are their impressions of Albania.
Hello, Arjola. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing experience. It really has. I'm so glad we have hosted you, and thank you for joining us. I think Lulu has had technical problems, so hopefully she'll join us soon. If anyone has any question for Arjola or Lulu, please put them in the chat.
We did have 2 questions. If you give me a moment, I'll find them and read them out.
Ervis joining us, so that's good.
Yes. So Ervis, welcome. I know that English is not your strong part, but I'm glad that you joined us to do a performance of our traditional song. If it was okay, I'd like to invite Ervis now to perform Mora Fjall, which is also a traditional song that is taking a lot of life in the new times. Thank you, Ervis, for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I wish blessed Ramadan to all of you. Morafia, morafiale, mora varguna, mora sharpuna, meithurka baş legendari, Ticando ya de mi ashari, ticando. Dar savie.
Recording in progress.
Se sempre quasi ne vere chapun dar savie. Dar savie se shedrenicen dar savie. Dar savie de Mitrovicen dar savie. Şopoton zoşte malide de bilbilat şovade. Othon lule de trando filat şovade. Çoğu şpek mostrite fari thotnan loket çoğu semya. Ta fladiti balin toga çoğu seti. Të kërkone të në Kosova ty ade. Ora fjale, mora vargun, mora qarkun, me i thurkan bash legendarit, ti këndoj adem jasharit, ti këndoj. E ti them se gjaku I di është vetë liria që ka në Kosovë brigjeve drinit kjo liri. Ja fladit I ballit primit, ja fladit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ervis. Thank you for bringing
Beautiful.
this song for us. Thank you
Was
very much.
Amazing.
I know that there are people in your family who are fasting, so say hi to them and wish them also a blessed Ramadan. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Evis, and I'm so sorry, guys, for disconnected. There was a technical problem from my laptop. I don't know. I think I lost but I joined in the best part when Evis performed the traditional music. I think that, as I said in the beginning, it will never, if it comes to talk about Albania, we would never stop with Arjola and Evis. But unfortunately, this was our time for today. Hopefully, inshallah, you learned something for our culture, our traditions, and I hope so. Inshallah, one day we all travel and visit Albania together, and we try the food and we see everything there when we go. Inshallah, I would like to thank Arjola for joining and explaining everything that you shared with us. I would like to thank Ervis for performing the traditional song of Albania, and I would like to thank Professor David for joining us today and sharing us everything related with the unity in faith and tradition and culture that all the faiths and Muslim and Christians have together. I would like to go very quickly through the questions. If everyone has any question to ask before we close this panel, and I give the word to Katarzyna, everyone who has any question or anything when it comes to Albania, please be free to ask and to let us know what do you want to know or learn. I think that everyone
We do have one
just
question.
it's curious to
It
see.
just came a few minutes ago. What do you recommend to learn more about Albania via books, movies, social media? What's the best source?
I would say if it depends from you. If you are someone who wants to learn things when it comes to movies, you have amazing literature. When it comes to books, you have beautiful movies, you have beautiful songs, singers. You can learn Albania however you want, but I would say that the best way to learn more is to travel and to go there, or to learn more within like traveling there, of course, gonna give you the opportunity to try the food, to read the books, to get in touch with people, and to learn more about our culture and the beautiful places. I don't know, Arjola maybe may have another suggestion.
I can come in for 1 minute. Lulu, we do have MACFEST heritage tours, and maybe Albania could be next year, the following year. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
We would be very glad to do that. Thank you very much, Kaiser, for the suggestion. So Albania right now, socially, we're everywhere. Like as a population, you can find us on Instagram. Albanians are very active on TikTok, like from all kind of backgrounds. So even on Instagram, I think that we are using that mostly at the moment. Through a simple research, you can find a lot of information that leads to information, and you can find what you find visually appealing. And if you're interested in food, there is a lot of restaurants, there is a lot of food bloggers. So through a very basic research, I think that you open the gates to everything that Albania holds.
Definitely.
There's a question. How could I connect the best with contemporary visual artists from Albania? This is from Anja.
So I read that question, and I'd like to add the fact that our prime minister, he's actually an artist. So he was initially a painter and became later on Minister of Culture, and is one of our contemporary artists. I'd say one of the most renowned ones. But there are a lot of contemporary art is happening at Albania at the same time. As I mentioned, I used to cover arts for Albanian national television, and you'd see there are a lot of young Albanian artists that are taking what was the traditional Albanian crafts and transforming that in contemporary. And this type of contemporary art that does rely on folkloric and Albanian ethnography. You can find that in architecture, you can find that on visual arts, and even when it comes to crafts like working on the arts on fiber, that is something, for example, that Albania has been represented on internationally. So we do love art, and also the contemporary art is very present. So if you are interested in a certain type of art, I'm pretty sure that you'd find an Albanian contemporary artist that does practice it.
Arjola, there's a comment by Margaret. She said about the Prime Minister, he got all the buildings in Tirana painted in bright colors.
Yes.
Much better than grey from communism. Is that something?
Yes, that is something that is also interesting. As we mentioned, Tirana is a urban, we'd like to call it colorful and noisy city, but it is what makes it colorful is the buildings that, yes, our prime minister, as a painter, he had the great idea that he has also internationally represented to redesign and all of the communist buildings, which used to be gray and in pale colors, and make everything with colorful shapes. And right now, like all of the buildings in Albania, they do feature all interesting designs, and they do feature pretty colorful facades. They could be red, like very bright, yellow, green. So once you're in the middle of the city, you can feel that kind of vibe.
You can feel the vibe also in the design, the architecture, not only in colors. So what they have done lately is a fascinated work when it comes to the vibe and to beautify the country, especially when it comes to tourism. Our Prime Minister has made a beautiful work, and to be able to host more people abroad to visit our country and to feel like happy, because of course when something is beautiful and colorful, everyone wants to like grab that vibe. I've seen a comment there. It says that is Albania safe to travel? Everyone asks me, even in the UK, because people, they don't have much information when it comes to Albania. Albania is very safe to travel. It's a very, very safe country, and I'm sure if you travel to Albania once, you're gonna plan to travel again next year. So don't miss any opportunity to go and to see. If you are a person who likes the beach, please go. We have an amazing beaches. If you are someone who loves mountains, we have that opportunity as well. There are beautiful villas that you can go and accommodate yourself and your family and your friends as well. So it's very safe. Please do not think otherwise, and I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. Especially everyone in Albania will accept you, and they will host you in a beautiful way.
So I'd like to add a kind of like a comment in here to the fact that, as I mentioned, Albanians do appreciate their families and their neighbors. So whatever like bad thing that happens related to Albania, that doesn't happen within Albania. So it is totally safe. And as I mentioned, we're really hospitable and loving everyone that is coming from abroad. And recently, tourism is gaining a lot of investments, and Albanians have literally opened their doors to tourists. So it is cheap, it is safe, it is interesting. And we wouldn't want to convince you, but it is one of the trending countries right now. And me personally, I live in Albania, and I see every day, even now it is spring in Albania, and I noticed that a lot of digital nomads have picked Albania to live in, and a lot of tourists have started to float in and visit in springtime in Albania.
Definitely. And also there is a question saying that I'm sure Albanian books are good, but could you recommend some titles that can be read in translation? Arjola, do you have any books in mind?
Okay, I see that there is a conversation going on. Thank you for the interest, everyone. One of our pretenders for the Nobel Prize is Ismail Kadare. He used to be a writer even during the communist times, and even in the period after, and he has some books that convey a really interesting writing style, but not only, they also have the background of what was happening in Albania at those times. I suggest The Worker of the Dream Palace. Yes, I seen Palace of Dreams. I saw someone mention it just now. And there is also The General of the Dead Army. Kadare has a lot of like really interesting books that are translated in a lot of languages. I'm sure you could find those even in your language if it is not English, and that would be a good representative of Albanian literature. But I will have to warn you, he's a bit tricky, and you might need to read those books like over and over again. He's just my favorite writer as well.
Thank you, Arjola. There is another question. Is your Prime Minister Muslim? Our Prime Minister, it is Muslim.
No.
It is,
no.
He is everything.
His family is Orthodox, but he's not a practicing, like, he does respect it seems like I'm doing some publicity for the Prime Minister here, but he's done a good approach on respecting everyone's beliefs. And even though he is one of the Albanians that is not actively practicing one of the religion, He does respect everyone's holidays and everyone's space in those terms, and he does promote religious harmony in Albania.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Arjola, for joining us today and answering all the questions. I'm sure that there is much more to learn when it comes to Albania, but this was our time. Thank you again to all our guests. Professor David Walker, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll have you again in the future, and why not visit Albania? Thank you, VC, again, for the beautiful performance that you gave us. And thank you, MACFEST, for giving this beautiful opportunity to me to be the host and to represent my country and to represent the Ramadan delights in Albania.
You're welcome, lovely Lulu.
Thank you, everyone, and please continue this amazing tradition that you have built up. It was amazing to have here Professor David Walker. Thank you very much, Professor, for your insights. It is lovely to realize that we do respect each other's traditions, and also as Muslims, we do accept everyone despite of their backgrounds. So thank you, Kaisra, for this amazing tradition. Thank you for having us today.
Welcome. Katarzyna, over to you.
I'm just going to quickly say thank you so much to everyone. Lulu finished wonderfully. So thank you, Lulu, for being with us today.
I forgot to say Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is on the chat. I felt so excited. It's something related to the passion when it comes to Albania. You just can't stop talking. But Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is celebrating. May Allah accept your fasts and your dua, and I hope you have a blessed Eid.
Ladies, I think you made many people very happy, very interested, and I think it's also safe to say slowly falling in love with Albania.
Thank you, everyone.
Lovely people, stay in touch, join us on social media, look at our newsletter on our website, because we might be going to Albania next year or the following year through our MACFEST Heritage Tours. And just quickly before we go, the theme of cuisine continues next Sunday, Food and Identity in Muslim Spain with Professor Daniel Newman. And then the following Sunday, Food and the Fine Arts of Healing. And then at the beginning of April, we've got another event, First Moroccans in Manchester. Thank you very much and see you soon.
Ramadan Mubarak to everyone.